Welcome to Beyond the Buzz, where curiosity meets clarity. I'm Dr. Tara Morrows, scientist and communicator with decades of experience translating complex human research into clear, evidence-informed insight. Today, we're talking about cortisol, stress hormones, and weight gain claims. Cortisol is a hormone, a chemical messenger in the body that helps regulate stress and energy. You might be seeing videos that say stress is the hidden reason your weight won't budge. Sorting through confident claims can quietly drain your time and focus. The story sounds simple, but biology rarely is. Let's take a closer look together, starting with what's driving the buzz. Scroll for a few minutes and you'll likely see it. On TikTok alone, more than 600,000 posts use the hashtag cortisol. Alongside that visibility is a growing product market. One report estimates that the global cortisol support supplement market reached over $1.5 billion in 2024. The message is often presented as clear and compelling. Stress raises cortisol. Cortisol causes weight gain. Lower cortisol and the weight will drop. It's a tidy explanation, and tidy explanations travel well. Let's check the evidence, our kind of receipt check. This is the moment to pause and ask the questions that matter. What's the evidence? What's the source? And how do we know? Here's what the evidence shows. A 2011 meta-analysis, a study that combines results from many studies, looked at long-term research on stress and body fat. It found that higher stress was associated with higher body fat. The effects were modest. That matters. It suggests stress is one factor among many, not a single dominant cause. A 2015 systematic review, a study that reviews all available research on a topic, examined the body's central stress response system and cortisol patterns in obesity. It found altered cortisol patterns, but results were inconsistent and varied by how cortisol was measured. In other words, cortisol activity in obesity is complex. It does not follow one simple pattern. A 2022 systematic review and meta-analysis looked at stress and eating behaviors in healthy adults. It found that stress was linked to changes in eating, including increased intake for some people. But responses differed. Some people ate more under stress, others ate less. That variability is important. Another 2022 meta-analysis measured long-term cortisol levels using hair samples. Hair cortisol reflects longer-term exposure rather than moment-to-moment changes. This review found cross-sectional associations, meaning measured at one point in time, between higher hair cortisol and higher body measurements. Cross-sectional studies cannot show cause and effect. Finally, clinical practice guidelines from the Endocrine Society on Cushing's syndrome, a condition of chronically high cortisol, state that sustained, medically significant cortisol excess is associated with weight gain and metabolic complications. Cushing's syndrome is rare and distinct from everyday stress. So severe, sustained cortisol excess in Cushing's syndrome is associated with significant weight and metabolic changes. But everyday stress-related cortisol patterns reflect normal stress responses, not the sustained, medically abnormal cortisol excess seen in Cushing's syndrome. So why does this trend resonate? Stress feels real. Weight changes are real. Linking the two creates a clear story. It also shifts the focus from personal discipline to biology. That can feel validating. And when social media offers a simple lever, lower cortisol, it creates a sense of control. In a complex world, control is comforting. But comfort and causation are not the same thing. So what's the takeaway? Across systematic reviews and meta-analyses, stress shows modest associations with body fat and eating behaviors with wide individual variation. Altered cortisol patterns are observed in obesity, but findings are mixed and measurement dependent. Clear, strong weight effects are seen in rare medical conditions with sustained high cortisol, not typical daily stress. You might be wondering, does cortisol cause weight gain? In rare medical conditions with chronically high cortisol, weight gain is well documented. In everyday stress, associations with body fat are modest and variable. Can lowering cortisol help you lose weight? Studies summarized here show modest and inconsistent links between cortisol and body weight. They do not directly evaluate whether lowering typical stress-related cortisol changes leads to predictable weight loss. Weight regulation involves many biological and behavioral factors beyond a single hormone. Do cortisol supplements have strong evidence for weight loss? The research summarized here does not demonstrate that everyday cortisol variation is a dominant driver of weight gain. Strong metabolic effects are seen in rare endocrine disorders, not typical stress exposure. If you're considering a product that claims to lower cortisol for weight loss, pause and ask whether the evidence reflects rare medical conditions or typical daily stress. It's understandable to want one clear explanation. Your evidence edit moment. Mixed evidence suggests stress and cortisol are associated with body weight, but the effects are modest, variable, and not a single direct cause. Strong effects on weight are documented in medical conditions with chronically high cortisol, not typical day-to-day stress. Stress matters, but it operates within a broader web of biology and behavior. Hormones influence weight, but they rarely act alone. Understanding complexity is a form of empowerment. Something to reflect on. When you hear a simple hormone explanation for weight change, what questions could you ask about the size of the effect, the type of evidence, and whether it reflects everyday life or a medical condition? If you found this useful, follow Beyond the Buzz and share it with a friend who likes a little science with their scroll. You can also explore the full transcript, the clarity poll, and evidence in the evidence edit. Until next time, stay curious and stay kind to your mind. This is Beyond the Buzz, cutting through the hype because evidence is empowering.